What's up, everybody? So this is going to be a pretty quick how-to video for people that are looking to change out their existing steering wheel setup for a NRG quick release. And this video is going to be featuring a Nardi steering wheel, so those are a little bit different, and we'll go over all the things that make it different in a little bit. But first, we got to take off the steering wheel. So I already have this propped off. I use one of these, just kind of like a nice fine pick with a hook on the end, and you just kind of get in there and get underneath it so you can pry it out a little bit. And then I reach in there with a thin flathead, something that's, you know, small like that, and then I just kind of wedge around until it lifts out a little bit. These things will, since they are 30 years old, the chrome on them will flake off if you're not gentle and careful. So if you want to keep this looking nice and crispy, just take your time and just kind of work it out. Alright, so after you get that out, there's actually a 19 millimeter bolt inside here, and I already have mine started, so I should be able to just kind of get this out with using my fingers here. So you get that out, and a good tip for when you do one of these projects, you want to kind of straighten your wheel out. So what I did is I rolled down the driveway, and then when I backed in, I kind of just let my hands off the wheel and let the steering wheel kind of true out itself. So I know that this is pretty much straight up and down, and I'll show you how to correct that if you end up getting it wrong, like if your wheel's kind of crooked after you finish all these steps. So let's pop this off right quick. There we go. Make sure you keep this somewhere safe so you don't lose it. This is what the nut looks like, by the way. Oop, there you go. Boop. Alright. So after you get that out the way, you get your NRG kit, your quick release kit. Now this is your hub adapter, and this is the part that goes onto your steering wheel's spindle, I guess we'll call it. And these little grooves right here, there you go, those will lock into your turn signal, so when you go around the steering wheel, it will turn on and off the turn signals. So there's little indicator dots on these pieces. See this white one right here, and then you have just an indentation on this piece right here. You see that right there, the little dot right above the NRG. Now these are going to be just there to tell you like how to mount your wheel. So if you mount these upright like this, and you mount your steering wheel's adapter, the quick release, upright following it, your button to have the quick release will be at the top. I personally like it at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and just flip that around 180s when I put this on. So just kind of slide that on, make it as straight as possible. It's off to the side a little bit. And so if your steering wheel is off after you do this, and you drive around the block, say it's off to the left or the right, you're just going to pop this off until you get it on the right teeth on the spindle here. So you're just going to spin that around and wait till you find a nice straight point for your wheel. So get that put back on, got your nut, get that going, keep these wires out the way. And now these wires are dummy proof, so there's only one way that you can put them on, so just kind of look at it. There's not much to go into detail there. And you don't want to over torque this thing, but you do want to make sure that it's tight. I usually kind of just let it go, torquing it down until the steering wheel locks, and then you'll get like a nice torque on that. But I'm just gonna go until it's pretty hard. Alright, so that'll be fine. Try to straighten the wheel back out a little bit if you can. Doesn't really matter, everything's pretty directional. So like I said, I'm going to be doing this upside down, so my indentation is going to be at the bottom because I want my button to be on the bottom. If you want your button to be off to the right, like say you're right-handed or you're left-handed, you can also just put wherever this little dial or this little indicator dot's going to be, that's where your button's going to be pretty much. So I like mine like that because you can just pop it out. Just double check to make sure that your white dot is exactly 180 degrees on the other side there. And then alright, there you go. So just tighten that down. Your kit should come with the proper size Allen key wrench. I don't know exactly what size this is. Doesn't have it printed on here. So it should come with this, but if not, you know, you should have a set of Allen keys in your toolbox if you're working on cars. So pretty straightforward there. A great first modification if you're just getting into working on cars, in my opinion, because it is so straightforward. Other chassis, like you got EGs and EKs and pretty much anything after the EF, you're gonna end up having airbags, and that's a totally different step. Look up videos for that, because you want to make sure you disconnect your battery, and yeah, you definitely want to look up videos specifically for cars with airbags if you're going to be doing this install on a car with airbag. So this part's over. We'll go into the garage now and put our Nardi steering wheel together. Alright, so here we are with a partially modified NRG quick release. Now with these Nardi steering wheels, the horn button has these clips in it. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. See these clips right here, and for this horn to stay secure, these clips need to secure somewhere inside this ring. And the regular off-the-shelf NRG hub or quick release doesn't have a beveled edge to support clipping in those rings. So what you need to do is get you can use a file like this and it'll just take really long, or you can use a Dremel with an attachment like this, or even like a grinding attachment, or just anything that can get rid of some of this metal material. And so you'll work around the inner ring until you get a nice beveled edge. It doesn't have to look pretty or nothing, because I mean, no one's going to be seeing this. Your steering wheel is going to be blocking it out. But you do want to make sure that you don't remove too much metal in here. So it's best just to go little by little until you get something where the horn button can actually clip in. So using a Dremel bit like this right here, Oops, come on, focus. There you go. Something like that is probably a good bet. You just want to make sure that you don't end up getting rid of too much metal, because once you get rid of too much metal, you can't get it back. So just keep that in mind. So let's see if that fits more better. There you go. I'm not going to snap it all the way in, because I don't want to. I'll have to get a piece of, I'd have to get like a screwdriver in there, and I don't want to risk scratching this chrome up, but you get the point. So now this can actually fit in there when it couldn't before. So the next step that you're going to want to do, now just a reminder, this is just if you have a Nardi steering wheel. I don't know of any other steering wheels. I've only owned Nardis, so I'm pretty sure it's just a Nardi problem. But if you run into any issues when you're installing a wheel that has a button, maybe think about doing something like that. Really what you want to do is just kind of make it so this beveled edge right here allows the clip to slip in, because the clips will compress and fit in there fine, but there's just no way that you can compress all 3 points on the clip while you're putting this wheel together. It's just not possible. So basically what you're doing is you're just making a little smooth transition for the clips to slide into, and then they'll slide down into the flat surface, and everything will be okay after that. But yeah, so let's get to putting the steering wheel together. So now that we have this all squared away, we can bust out our new Nardi. But ow! Look at that. That is a nice steering wheel. Just put that off to the side. So what you do is you remember the indicator dots on the hub adapter that we put on the car already, and you're going to notice that this has a little indication dot as well. If I can focus on that, maybe I could zoom in on it or something. There we go. So you see right here, kind of scuffed it up a bit, but you should be able to see that little indentation there. That's going to be lining up with all the other indicator dots. So since I put mine upside down on the car, remember that part I did the 180 on it, this part right here is also going to be upside down. So my indicator dot is going to be on the underside of the steering wheel. So the button is going to be upside down too. So when I go to quick release, I'll just have to push on the back side underneath the steering wheel. It's just a comfort thing. I don't really get having it pushed at the top. It doesn't really make sense. It's way more comfortable for me just to pop it out from the bottom, or even off to the right. So you can adjust it to however you want it to be, is what I'm getting at. And for me, it's going to be on the bottom. So after you get that figured out, just go ahead and get your quick release and then line up the holes for the bolts to go through. There we go. And just double check to make sure that the steering wheel is going to be, the button's going to be on the bottom. Yeah, so that's going to be the closest that we can get to having it on the bottom. So then you go ahead and get your hardware that they included in I believe it comes in with the steering wheel, but it might have come with the NRG kit, I'm not sure. But these are going to be 8mm bolts going in here. So after you get them finger tight, just kind of go over them one more time. You don't have to tighten them down really hard, just tighten it down so it's snug. You don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on your steering wheel if you care about it, given it is metal. But for me personally, I like to make them just snug enough to stay on there. Kind of think like spark plug tightness. You just kind of get it snug, and then you do like a quarter turn around just to make it feel safe. This next part is actually probably the most difficult part. It's going to be connecting the horn button to the wiring here. So what I do is, since there isn't a ground clip, like how the positive has a little tab you can slide the connector onto, this side has a male tab on it as well. And there's nothing for it to slip into. There's no female connection on this. So what I do is, and it's kind of janky, but if it works, it works. I pop off, first I get this all the right orientation. I pop off one of these little clips in here, like that. And what I'll do is actually run the inside that has this hole inside of the wire here. I'll actually just run that hole into here, and then I will sneak it back onto the ring. Kind of hard to do with one hand at first. And you want to get it past the first little edge or angle, and then you can just pop that right back on. There we go. And then, you know what? All right, so I fucked up. I knew this was getting to be too easy. First, you got to get your trim piece. That's why this was easier this time around. So this is going to be pretty hard to do with the trim piece. And if you're wondering how the trim piece is held on, if you look closely here, see that right there and that right there, these are little rubber, I'll call it like a grommet or something. It's a little rubber gasket that's in here. And what it's going to do is actually stay firmly connected to these bolts right here when it's connected. The rubber around it will kind of just make a nice tense fitting there, and it'll just stay put. So now we can get started on getting this ground put on. And then we slide on the horn power. There we go. And now the fun part is getting this thing put on. And there you go. Thanks to having that ring modified, this thing just pops right in. This usually takes me the last time I filmed this video, it took me like 10 minutes. It was insane. So there you go. You have your horn, you have the trim piece on, your Nardi is ready to be put into your car. So let's go do that and test the horn. Alright, so here we go. Boom. Just like that. Horn works and everything. So that is how you do a NRG quick release with a Nardi steering wheel and a EF chassis. Let's check that out. That thing is wet, boy. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you found this video to be educational or entertaining, or just because you want to support free information. Thanks. Yep. See some behind the scenes angles. Wet.